In 1999, an 11-year-old boy whispered, "I see dead people." He was instantly famous in Hollywood. He made a lot of money, was nominated for an Oscar, and directors called him a genius. But in 2025, that same boy was caught yelling slurs and having cocaine in his pocket at a ski area. His house caught fire, his insurance turned him down. He has to say sorry for things he says he doesn't remember saying and is now living with his sister. He could go to jail. This is what Haley Joel Osment really went through. Haley Joel Osment was born in Los Angeles on April 10, 1988. She comes from a family that seemed set for fame in Hollywood. Eugene, his dad, was in the theater. Teresa, his mom, worked as a teacher. One brought new ideas, the other one brought order. It was the best way to raise a kid who would soon talk like an adult and act like he was older than his friends. Their family history was Irish, German, and English-Scottish. But things really changed when they moved from Birmingham, Alabama, to Los Angeles. That move wasn't just across town. It went back generations. It wasn't just Hollywood where the Osmonds were, they were made to do it. A buzzing of scripts, interviews, and something bigger pulling him toward the stage filled the air around Haley before he could even form a sentence. Then IKEA came along. He was only 4 years old and was just going shopping with his family. But something crazy took place that day in that store. A star agent saw him. There won't be any photos or managers, just a moment. After a few weeks, Haley was at a test for a Pizza Hut ad. They asked him to talk about the biggest thing he had ever seen. A truck or a monster, is what most kids would say. Haley, he talked about an IMAX screen in great depth. He got the job right away. One ad set off a chain of events. He got a part in the show Thunder Alley that same year. He then got a small part in Forrest Gump when he was 6 years old. This was his big break into the world. It wasn't long before he had awards, a job that made him a lot of money, and a place in Hollywood history. Haley Joel Osment is very smart, but it didn't just happen. His dad told him he couldn't talk about babies ever. Haley was talked to like an adult from the time he could understand words. There are no shortcuts or easy ways out. What that weird parent did made all the difference. He could talk like someone twice his age by the time he went on the interview. He didn't just remember lines, he knew what they meant. The directors saw it. Casting agents took notice. People couldn't believe a child could handle scenes that would shock most grown-ups. It wasn't what it seemed like that so-called Southern upbringing was like. It wasn't about being nice or funny. It was a plan and an attempt that worked. Emily is Haley's younger sister. She was born in 1992. She was 4 years younger than him, but she wouldn't hang out with him for long. Like her brother, she grew up in a home where playing was a job, not just a hobby. She finally became a star in her own right, thanks in large part to her role as Hannah Montana. The Osment children were close, but their lives were not like most people's. They had fame, interviews, and bad reviews before they were even teens. Their father was with them the whole time, going over scripts with them, handling their jobs, and making sure they stayed on track. It wasn't always simple. Haley had to deal with the stress of being very smart. Emily had to make a name for herself. But they had each other through it all. The movie Forrest Gump was Haley's big break. The role of Forrest Jr., Tom Hanks' son, he played when he was only 5 years old. The scene that introduced him was written right before it was filmed. Hanks wrote it down on a piece of yellow paper. That very same piece of paper is still with Haley right now. That part had a lot of emotional weight. In the movie, Haley's mother had just died of AIDS, and he had to show sadness, love, and hope in a short amount of time. Not only was it amazing, it shocked me. For that part, he won a Young Artist Award. He made it clear with that. He wasn't here to be cute. He was here to do something. He didn't go away after Forrest Gump. He stepped up. He played the lead role in Thunder Alley, a sitcom that he made funny and emotional. Then he got his own show with Jeff Foxworthy, where he played the son of a comic from the working class. And in the last season of Murphy Brown, he played Avery Brown instead of another kid actress. These jobs weren't picked at chance. They planned ahead. Osment was putting together a resume. Before he turned 10, he was one of the most recognizable kid TV stars in the United States. He wasn't just being cast as extra. It was up to him to carry scenes and do well with big names like Candice Bergen and Jeff Foxworthy. Every time he came through. However, as his fame grew, strange things began to happen. An outline. Hollywood couldn't stop casting Haley as kids who were hurting, dying, suffering, or having to deal with something difficult. He played a kid who was dying of AIDS on Walker, Texas Ranger. He had leukemia and was trying to sue God on Ally McBeal. You read that right. The makers clearly saw something unique in him that they couldn't find in anyone else. He wasn't just cute. He might hurt you. They used it over and over. That was both a praise and a worry. He was smart and talented beyond his years, but he also had feelings that no child should have to show so often. That stress was very clear in 1996 with Bogus. It wasn't a big hit, but it was a test. Could Haley deal with strong emotions when she was around stars like Whoopi Goldberg and Gerard Depardieu? He had to be able to handle scenes that mixed fantasy with pain and sadness. The answer was yes. At only 8 years old, he was able to handle intense fights with co-stars who had won Oscars. Finding the right child to play Cole was the most important thing for M. Night Shyamalan when he started casting for The Sixth Sense. The kid had to be able to do more than just say the lines. He wanted someone who looked like they really saw ghosts, not just scared, but broken. It was then Haley Joel Osment walked in. He didn't feel like acting at his interview. It seemed like the truth. He told his casting director, "I don't think I want to make this without him," after just one reading. Haley and his dad practiced every scene together, and they really got into the feelings behind each word. Even people who were filming him cried because his performance was so powerful. Even after all these years, Shyamalan would still say that Haley was the only reason the movie worked. The Sixth Sense wouldn't have worked without that real fear and quiet sadness. He did more than just be great. Haley made history. He was put forward for Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars when he was only 11 years and 311 days old, making him the second youngest person ever to do so. He was up against Tom Cruise, Michael Clarke Duncan, Jude Law, and Michael Caine that year. Caine was the one who won. Surprisingly, Caine would go on to work with Haley in Secondhand Lions. It seemed like a dream. A boy who wasn't even in high school was treated the same as big names in the business world. The Oscars don't usually recognize scary or supernatural movies, especially ones with kid players. But Haley's achievement could not be argued with. The way he played Cole made people care so much that they had to pay attention. Even though he didn't win, just being nominated was a big deal. It was a big deal for him and all the other kid actors who came after. Then there was a short line, "I see dead people," thrilling, memorable, and immediately recognizable. That line made a big splash in culture. It was number 44 on the American Film Institute's list of the best movie lines, and it was used in a lot of different movies. It was used in political jokes, talk shows, and rap songs. It was both a blessing and a jail for Haley. People kept yelling that line at him afterward, no matter what he did. It was the moment that made him who he was. Some people even say that the movie's twist finish began what we now call spoiler culture. People are still talking about it after 25 years. It was lightning in a bottle, and that kind of lightning can't leave you. But the numbers show something different. The Sixth Sense not only worked, it went off the charts. The movie made over $672 million around the world, even though it only cost $40 million to make. That's 16 times what it cost to make. It made $293.5 million in the US alone and was in cinemas for months. Not often does a strange movie led by a kid keep you interested for that long. Pay it forward. His next big movie came out just 1 year after that. It seemed like a story about how kindness can spread around the world at first glance. She played Trevor, a boy who makes an easy plan. Do 3 nice things for other people and ask them to do the same for someone else. The movie wasn't all happiness though. Trevor is stabbed and ends up dying. The story was terrible, but the message was strong. Kevin Spacey and Helen Hunt are 2 stars who were close to him. Afterwards deal with personal problems that cast an odd light on the movie. It only made $55.7 million around the world, just above the $40 million it cost to make. The reviews were mixed. They liked the idea but didn't agree with how it was carried out. Now that I think about it, the movie tried to show how kindness could heal a broken world. Instead, it made people feel sad. That could have been the point. Next was Spielberg's AI, which stands for Artificial Intelligence. It wasn't easy to do this. The famous director Stanley Kubrick had planned to make it, but he died before it could be made. He picked it up and chose Haley Joel Osment to play the lead role. Haley, who is only 13, stole the show as David, a robot child who is trained to love. It took more than $90 million to make the movie, and made $235.9 million around the world. Not only was it beautiful to look at, but it was also very emotional, and Haley's performance shocked reviewers. He won Best Younger Actor for the second time. 2 Oscars and 5 Saturn Awards were given to the movie itself. The BBC said it was the 83rd best movie made since 2000 and 2016. For a kid to be in charge of a movie that's serious, strange, and philosophical, Without a question, it showed that Haley wasn't just a kid star. He really did play a part. He touched many things, but not all of them turned to gold. He was in Edges of the Lord, a Polish movie about a Jewish boy hiding from the Nazis, the same year. It was a dark subject. The mood was even worse. Haley was great at the Polish accent. Willem Dafoe was also in it, but not many people saw it. It was never shown in the US. It went away. After many years, that movie had a sad ending. Haley got a lot of attention in 2025 when he was caught during a blackout for allegedly using an anti-Semitic slur. Even though he said sorry in public, fans couldn't help but notice the strange irony. The boy who used to play a Jewish kid running away from the Nazis is now guilty of anti-Semitism charges. It made a movie that was already forgotten even worse. His movie success had ups and downs, but something else was slowly coming together. His work as a voice actor. Kingdom Hearts is a video game from 2002 that mixed Disney figures with Japanese RPG stories. Haley did the voice of Sora in that game, a huge hit all over the world. She has done the voice of Sora in 11 games over the years. It has been bought over 36 million times. Gamers still knew his voice even after his name stopped being in the news in Hollywood. He once said that fans would sometimes tell him about new games before the creators did. That's how closely they watched the show. Kingdom Hearts brought Haley a second kind of fame that lasted for 20 years. It was 2025, and Kingdom Hearts 4 was coming out. He said it was sad to think about leaving the character behind. Sora was no longer just a part. He did it all the time. He did something different in 2003 with Used Lions. Walter is a shy kid who is sent to live with his two strange uncles, who were played by Michael Caine and Robert Duvall. The movie was quiet. There are no robots or ghosts, just love. It worked. The movie made $47 million, even though it cost $30 million to make. The work that Haley did was strong and steady. The way he held his own against two great actors was praised by critics. The critics chose him as the best young actor. It was more important that he showed he could get older on TV without losing what made him unique. The movie became a family favorite because of how charming, funny, and warm it was. It also proved Haley Joel Osment wasn't a one-time thing. He was able to change. He had the strength to last. Some people thought he might have become the next Leonardo DiCaprio. Even though she was only 11, Haley Joel Osment had already been nominated for an Oscar and appeared in The Sixth Sense and AI. He was the star child of Hollywood. Then something strange took place. He walked away just as the roles were coming in and the red carpets were coming out. There will be no problems or stress, just a quiet exit. Insiders in the industry were confused. There is a lot of money and fame for this young star in the United States, so why would they turn it down? The car didn't break down, that was a plan. Osment was very aware of what he was doing. It was awful for him to see what happened to other kid actors who got stuck in the same parts and had to play younger versions of themselves over and over again. He didn't want to be another scare story. He took a step back. He did what he did because he wanted to, not because he had to. He once said that Hollywood in the early 2000s seemed mean and greedy. Young stars were becoming targets for tabloids. One bad move or awkward picture, and your life became a news story. He didn't want to play that game. He left in 2007. The whole city, not just the stage. Moving to New York, he went to NYU's Tisch School of the Arts. He stayed away from the chaos of Los Angeles for the next 15 years. There were no cameras outside his door or TMZ following him around. He had acting classes, theater practices, and a chance to grow up without any trouble. He later said that the move was what saved him. Without it, he might have become burned out before age 25 like a lot of other people. There were, however, signs that the stress had already reached him. He was in a car accident in La Cajada, Flintridge, in 2006, a year before NYU moved. It was after midnight. When he hit a brick wall, his car flipped over. He was 18 years old. It was 0.16% in his blood, which is twice the legal limit for adults, and over 3 times the limit for people under 21. The police found pot in the car. Then there were 4 minor charges. All of a sudden, the good kid from The Sixth Sense was in the news for all the wrong reasons. The court wasn't kind to him. He had to go to 26 DOA groups, do 60 hours of rehab, and pay a $1,500 fine. He was also put on probation for 3 years. In the end, he called it a turning point. He broke a rib and hurt his shoulder in the crash, but the mental scars are worse. That night took away his perfect look and made him really think about what he wanted out of life. It wasn't worth losing control for fame. From then on, he made decisions based on keeping himself safe, not getting praise. In 2008, after 2 years, he did something brave by making his Broadway bow with American Buffalo. He played a Bobby who was hooked on drugs. It was dark, honest, and nothing like his days as a kid star. But the show was only put on 8 times. The reviews were mixed. Some people said it was brave. Some people weren't sure. Even so, Osment didn't give up. He wasn't trying to get hits. He wanted to find the truth. He wasn't hurt by that mistake. It helped him remember that taking chances was more important than being safe. Instead of trying to get back to the top of the movie business, Osment went the independent route. In 2012, he acted in and helped create the Amazon show Montana. He played strange and dangerous parts in movies like Kevin Smith's strange horror movie Tusk and the terrible comedy Sex Ed. He didn't need big companies or plenty of money. Those stories had to have meaning for him. He said that independent pictures let him be himself, not just popular. But there were times when things got worse. In 2018, he missed a flight at McCarran International Airport in Las Vegas over the football weekend. A fight broke out between him and flight staff. The police were called. He left before they got there, but he allegedly came back later and yelled threats. Even though no charges were brought, the news stories came back. It made me remember that the stress never really goes away. It was sad that it wasn't the last time. In 2025, Osment was arrested again, this time for being drunk in public and having cocaine on him. He had come a long way. But the shadows were still there. Childhood stars are always in the public eye, and some hurts never fully heal. But there were still big wins. During 2017, he played the shady tech genius Keenan Feldspar on HBO's Silicon Valley. People were shocked. This time, the cute, wide-eyed Sixth Sense kid played a greedy, mean CEO, and he stole the show. His performance was sharp, dark, and not like anything he had ever done before. People paid attention. His range was praised by critics. There was more to him than being a kid star. He really did play a part. People did notice that shift. The Guardian talked about how Osment could easily switch between funny and sad scenes. He could make you laugh at times. One minute he'd break your heart. It's not often that versatile. He had worked so hard to get this honor, and it finally came his way. The streaming services opened up a new stage for him. In 2019, he played a co-worker in the shockingly bad and disgusting Netflix movie about Ted Bundy. Even though it wasn't the main part, it was complex, honest, and powerful. In the same year, he stole parts from The Kaminsky Method, where he played a man who stole $1.3 million from the Church of Scientology. It took guts, was silly, and was funny. It showed he wasn't afraid to take big hits, which was more important. He's now going back to where he came from. In 2025, Osment will be back in a scary movie called Wake the Dead, where she will play a medical student who is obsessed with bringing dead bodies back to life. It's a new take on Frankenstein. It's even more powerful because it's him, the face of horror movies from the late 1990s. It's not just one more role. It's a moment of complete turn. The fire then came. It wasn't just any fire. It was one of the worst ever seen in Los Angeles. Altadena was on fire on January 7, 2025, like a bad dream with no way to turn it off. Haley Joel Osment, 37, who used to be the boy with the wide eyes from The Sixth Sense, just stood there and watched. Because the house he bought 5 years before caught fire and burned down. Oh, and his parents' house is gone too. It only took hours to destroy both houses. At least 29 people died in the fire. A lot of people had to run away. The time made it feel even worse for Osment. He bought the house on March 16, 2020, which was the day that Los Angeles shook down. During the COVID years, that spot became his safe haven. Then again during the long Hollywood strikes. After that, it was just a pile of rocks. He said that the mental hit was worse than the money one. It wasn't just the roof and walls, it was what they held. Gone are more than 500 vinyl records. The piano his parents gave him is gone. But in the chaos of getting out, he managed to grab something that was still alive. A yellow legal pad with Forrest Gump's speech written by hand. Wrote by Tom Hanks himself. It was framed and on his wall. It was a gift from the set of his first movie when he was 5. Just before he ran, he pulled it down. That small act of kindness would turn out to be one of the few bright spots in a story that kept getting worse. Because the fire grew so quickly and far, Osment began to wonder if the government had chosen to let his neighborhood burn down in order to help other people. That doubt never went away from him. It wasn't just what was lost that hurt. It had to do with what wasn't safe. For Osment, the mental hits didn't end when the fire went out. It was still good for him. He thought that, when his claim was turned down, that idea fell apart. He had been paying his premiums on time for years, and was looking forward to at least a lifeboat. He was met with a firm no, and all of a sudden he wasn't just sad about the past. He couldn't get into the future. No payment, no money to start over, and no way to rebuild. He said it was a lie. He wasn't the only one. Lots of people were hurt and facing the same wall. But Osment's story got a lot of attention because of who he was and what he had been through. There was an outbreak, there were strikes. And now this. He said that the system meant to help him but instead held him back. Nothing to live on, no money, and nowhere to go. Ethan Osment, his younger sister, moved in with him. It was strange for them to share a house as adults because they were both kid stars and used to being in front of cameras. At first it felt good. She made him feel safe. He said she was kind, helpful, and strong. Real life hit quickly though. It's one thing to live with family. It's a different thing to live with your whole family, because soon their parents moved in after losing their own house. The house was full all of a sudden. For the first time in 25 years, Haley, Emily, both parents, and 3 dogs are all living in the same house. On a show he tried to laugh about it, but you could tell his voice was tense. A lot of people for a long time. He told her that he went on short trips to give her room. He said that the stress of being squished together wore him down, no matter how well they got along. He felt stuck and alone. It got really big for little things. He said it was an emotional low point, and it got worse. It had begun a long time before the fire. When he bought that house in Altadena in 2020, he thought things were finally getting better. After that, everything stopped. COVID put him alone. The two of them broke up. For months he didn't work. The Hollywood strikes happened just as things were getting better. It all got frozen. He had just been cast in Blink twice, and had a special part on Wednesday. After that, the project stopped again. He started to think that he was cursed. Something always stopped him when he was getting going. The outbreak came first, then the strike, and finally the fire. It looked like the pattern was trying to warn us. Don't get too cozy. Something broke in April 2025. He was caught at Mammoth Mountain Ski Resort around 2 p.m. on the 8th. People who saw him said he was acting strangely because he was trying to get on a ski lift without a snowboard and with his helmet on wrong. The cops were called by security. The next thing that happened was caught on body cam and quickly went viral. Osment stumbled through the parking lot, making it clear that he was drunk. His pants were coming off. "I'm being held, and I'm an American," he kept yelling. The white material inside the $20 bill was thought to be cocaine by the police. That wasn't the worst part though. On video, Osment was seen yelling racial and sexual slurs, angry and rude as cops led him to his car. He called a police officer a Nazi. He said things that had to be taken away. Afterward, he said he was knocked out, but the damage was already done. Social media went crazy. Jewish groups spoke out against him. These news clips were shown over and over again. People were shocked by what they saw. This wasn't the shy kid who saw dead people before. This was a man coming apart. After 9 days, on April 17th, the Mono County District Attorney finally put charges forward. 2 misdemeanors. One for being drunk in public and one for having cocaine on you. He was told to show up in court on July 7th. Someone who breaks this law for the first time may get community service or probation instead of jail time and a $1,000 fine. It wasn't just the penalty though. Shame in public was the bigger pain. Osment put out a statement that same day. He didn't explain himself. He said he was shocked and didn't know about it. What he said before he watched the video. Took it as meaningless rubbish. He said that the fire and the deaths had hurt him deeply. But he made it clear that none of that was a reason for hate, especially to the Jewish community. He said sorry to everyone this hurt. He did not ask for pardon. He said he would make things right. Different people had different reactions. Some people didn't believe him though. Many people couldn't forget the times he got in trouble with the law, like the DUI in 2006 or the incident at the airport in 2018. They said this wasn't a one-time circle but a trend. Now everyone is waiting to see what happens next. He is going to be in court in Mammoth Lakes on July 7th. Reporters, cameras, and lawyers will all be there, waiting to see if Haley Joel Osment gets another chance or not. It seems like this is the end of his story.